We are extremely honoured to have Her Royal Highness the Princess Royal here, patron of Transaid. She's going to talk about the importance of transport infrastructure in the developing world. And, ladies and gentlemen, she is one of us. She is no stranger to the road haulage industry. And in addition to her wonderful patronage, she has a Class 2 heavy goods vehicle licence. Well done. So a big round of applause, please. Thank you very much.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to join you today, and thank you to Microlise for their invitation and for their support of Transaid. Actually, there was an interesting comment. How do you know I've still got a licence? Actually, I have. As you realise, that means you have to go back for your medical every now and again. It's always an interesting moment. But the answer is I still have at the moment. That's good perspective. I don't drive as often as I used to, but I still think I have the perspective from the cab of a lorry, which is really important. And particularly, I think, in relation to this event and how much it has changed over the years. Looking at those figures, particularly about shortage of drivers and broader skills and the training packages, that's very different from when I started. And the cab of a lorry looks completely different from the one that I started in, which was not dissimilar to the standard Bedford Army truck that I think actually my mother would have recognised, funnily enough. But this is an important event here. This really does mark a lot of the passage of technology advances and brings you all together in an entirely appropriate way to see where the future might be going, how to improve on efficiencies, both in terms of management and in terms of driver skills. And certainly those of us at Transaid appreciate the training aspect of that and what a difference it can make. Now, it's not for me to explain to you the importance of transport driver training, employment in, particularly in Africa, because I think you understand better than most the challenges and the importance that holds in all of the countries in Africa because of their size, because of their roads, which are occasionally good, usually indifferent, and the type of skills that you require, and any driving training that is available, which in many countries is non-existent. So for Transaid, this is an important area to understand and to work with, and a lot of that understanding has come from Transaid's own research in terms of the amount of driver training and indeed the scale of road accidents and the toll that has across Africa, and how that would be improved dramatically by better training. Transaid is a small organisation, but the reason that it works well is it has a huge amount of support from those who do understand the challenges and are prepared to provide people who volunteer to make a difference. And that allows us as an organisation to meet its goals and to make a really measurable impact on road safety across a whole range of countries. And we benefit not just from the financial support we receive from our corporate supporters, because that is vital, obviously, in order to be able to pursue the areas of work that we believe are necessary, but for individual volunteers to support the Professional Driver Training Initiative. And that can only exist with help from volunteers. And only in the last 12 months, 11 professional volunteers and graduates have travelled to Africa to work in our initiatives in Tanzania, Zambia, and Uganda. And in the coming months, a further 9 people will be sharing their best practice in a number of sub-Saharan countries. That's local driver trainers, making those local drivers safer, more skilled, and more efficient. This is an event which does underline the importance of the drivers themselves, and it's recognising the achievements of HGV drivers. Slightly unusual award. As we know, I don't think there are the assumptions and the expectations from the transport sector don't necessarily understand just how it works, the hours and the skills required in order to achieve that. So this is really important that we recognise those who do the day-to-day work. It seems to be, there probably isn't, it's a question you can ask them later, but this is an in-house audience, so you probably wouldn't get the same answer. But for those outside the industry, I suspect that there are a percentage who believe that most of the good drivers are HGV drivers because they have a better perspective. But there's equally quite a large number who think all accidents are fundamentally caused by HGVs because it's convenient to blame somebody else. We know that that's not true because we know that there are a whole lot of circumstances and training that goes into being an HGV driver that makes that much less likely to be true. But, and it is an important but, the rooms for improvement are always there. The need for training remains acute. Understanding your responsibility on the road as HGV drivers remains the same. It doesn't quite, at this stage, it doesn't matter where technology takes us, so we don't go down that route. We're celebrating those who do the job really well and set a very good example, both in terms of business practice, but in terms of the public in general, as to the quality of the drivers. I'm sure this conference will help in understanding where you can go next, how you can improve your businesses, where to put technology, what is the right technology to invest in that will make it more efficient and safer. But for Transaid, it is important for us to understand where the business is going and how technology will help. Because in our areas of work, getting in early with the technology that can really make the difference will do so more effectively and more efficiently is important. But to Microlise and your partners and your support as corporate supporters for Transaid, a very big thank you for events like this, which allow us to promote what Transaid can achieve. But it only achieves it with your help and with help of individual volunteers who can make it work that much better. That's a really important part of what we do. The data that you collect, the data that we can collect, will continue to make a difference. And events like this really do make a difference. And I hope you feel that these events not only make a difference, but can be fun, can make it enjoyable events. And I hope that Transaid can add to that. Many of you, I suspect, see headlines in papers about dramas and crises overseas. You see camps, you see people travelling in unsuitable craft, and you wonder why there isn't a better answer. And if you wonder that, then Transaid is the place to go, both in terms of information, to add your voice, and maybe your time and your interest. So thank you for doing so today.